This must be live now. Hey, Dom.
Hey.
Okay, let's double check. Let's do some basic tech checks. Let's double check if the stream is showing up on YouTube and if it's showing up on X. So let me just open my profiles.
Oh, there we go. Yep. We're looking good.
All right. All right. I see 20 people. Oh, wow. All right. So I'm going to give maybe a minute or two for folks to come gather. Let's also make sure we have access to the chat, right? The what's going to be the predominant chat? Is it going to be YouTube? I see Connor's comment on YouTube already.
Yeah, so awesome. I've got the YouTube up.
Okay.
If you want to have up the X.
All right. So let me pull up X. I just got a notification from YouTube on the phone. It's saying watch live now. Netlify Community Drop is live. Awesome. That's awesome. Awesome. Let's go to.
Look at us go.
There we go.
A wild stream appears.
We're live. All right. Okay. So I see a few folks on YouTube. So let's actually give shout outs to them. I see Clark. Hey, Clark. Thanks for joining us. And I also see, of course, Connor. Thanks for joining us. So as we get going, we're going to, spend a few minutes basically to let everybody in and also interact with you all for a few minutes. As you guys come in, please enter your city. Where are you joining from in the chat? I want to see how global the stream is, Dom. We have Clark, I know he's in Austin, if I'm not wrong. Let's see. I see Ash. Dom, someone says you have a cool name.
I seen. Michelle.
There we go. Welcome, Michelle's here. Morning, everyone. TJ Obi-Wan. Oh, wow. This is awesome. I can't believe this is happening. We're so excited. We're so stoked. This really came to life in a very organic, serendipitous way. Much like all the great things in life, right? And okay, we have Toronto in the house. We have Neil from Virginia Beach. Neil, shout out. This is, by the way, this is Dom. This is the Neil who joined our All Hands. Like,
awesome.
Yeah, big fan.
Welcome,
of
Neil.
He's awesome.
We got Lee Martin in the chat.
Yeah, New Orleans. Lee Martin. Oh my God, I can't. The Building Public guy, I have to shut up right now because I can't reveal what Lee Martin's working on. Dom, yes. It's so hard. I know. Everyone, stay tuned in January. You're gonna have one hell of a surprise. Awesome.
It's so funny that the headshot that you used is like for those it's my first headshot at my first tech company ever. So like it's gotten so much mileage at this point. Like I remember coming into work for one of the first days and they were like, dress up nice, you've got headshots. I was like, free headshots. It's gotten its mileage. I'm very thankful.
To me, it felt like you're looking up like aspirationally, like
it is. I am looking up aspirationally.
Feature. I'm looking at a bright career feature.
I wish there was like a heavenly light shining down on my face.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're gonna kick it off very soon. I'm only intentionally delaying because I want as many people as possible in the room. I do have an opening prompt, not the AI prompt, but like a community engagement prompt for all of you. And it's not the city. I know we already did the city, but the one that I have is for a lot of you are Netlify super fans and hardcore users and power hitters. The opening prompt that I have, and there's a special prize for this, is please input the number of sites you have deployed on Netlify. And I know Clark has got like 75. I know like a few of you have like in 20s and 30s. And the person who has the highest number of sites deployed in Netlify today in our audience will win a really, really cool developer hat that Dom's wearing.
I get it first, obviously, because I already have the most sites, but like you guys can get the runner-up. For sure.
That there we go. This is exclusive swag. We only have it just within our team, but we would love to give the person who has the highest number of sites, and we'll follow up with you. So no cheating. We'll follow up with you async after, but please enter the number of sites you have. So go log into Netlify dashboard, take a look at how many sites. I think when I looked last time, I think I had 13. So I know that's not gonna win anything because we have power hitters here.
By the
But
way, KP, on Riverside, it's showing a public chat. I think that's showing the conglomerate of both chats if you
oh
wanted to open
really?
that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Got to
That's
make
awesome.
our lives a little easier.
That's easy. Wait, Lee Martin has
250. Lee
250.
Martin, you're an animal. Lee, you're disqualified. I think you're absolutely you might be the best. I feel like you deserve a hat in either way, I think.
That's insane. Okay. Okay, this is awesome. As we get going, I wanted to formally introduce myself. I am Karthik Pawara, KP. I recently joined Netlify as head of community. And you may, if you follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn, whatever, you know how passionate I've been for the vibe coding movement and for this AI coding sort of movement that we're in the middle of. And I feel like Netlify is such a big player on in that space. And this opportunity that I have in front of me is such an honor. And I've said this many times on tweets and Substack and whatever. I'm so energized and so excited to co-build and co-lead this movement with our Netlify developers and just all of our vibe coders in general. It's going to be an amazing, amazing year 2026. So honored to be part of the company, to be part of the mission. And it's been a month that I joined now. Like time's flying by so fast. And this is my first public event or initiative,
Well,
community facing.
welcome to the streams,
There we
KP.
go.
Welcome
So,
to the
and Dom
streams.
Dom's been an OG here, and so I'm really happy to do this with Dom. So Dom, why don't you introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah. So my name is Demetrius Clark. Some of you have seen me for my best hits of developer advocate across many different companies that you've seen me over my lifetime. I'm back at Netlify, been a boomerang, now back for an official year as of last week. So really excited to be back. Y'all have seen me around the community. Y'all have seen me around the different streams and webinars that we've been holding already. Super excited to start doing like more public streams and more community driven streams. For those in the chat that have seen me around, that I've always been a community driven engineer, and it's kind of led me to where I am doing back at Netlify, doing senior developer advocacy. Really just like looking to smooth the waters as we build into this kind of new age of AI. And I think what I've noticed a lot, and as a developer myself, is that so many of our products now have been kind of entrenched in finding ways to use AI and finding ways to bring it into product. And one of my hopes is through these live streams and through the community that we have in mind is to really just to start to bridge the gap for folks to start feel a little bit more comfortable building with things, and hopefully build alongside you all. So definitely keep up with me on Twitter, because I'll be building a lot over the next year and sharing a lot. So super excited to be here with KP. Super excited to have KP here. I think as we move into this, like I'm a boot camp graduate myself, and so like watching the waves of boot camp graduates kind of come in over the last 5 years and have to learn really deep technical problems and have to kind of like overcompensate for being that kind of like career transitioner. I'm really excited for the AI movement of folks that maybe have no technical knowledge and are starting to get into the space, because I think that opening the door for folks is such a huge opportunity. And I think like Netlify is specifically poised to be that door for people. And I hope me and KP can live up to those expectations.
Yeah, yes, exactly. There's no pressure, but it's also it's so endearing to see how many people are not only building vibe coding on Netlify, but also sharing their builds. I shout out to Pankaj, who's here in the audience, Connor, a few of you like Maddie, if she's in the audience. I love following your work on Twitter, on LinkedIn, because you are so creative and you're using Netlify in ways that I've never even imagined. So I'm like really, really educational and inspiring to watch you. Okay, so here's what we have on the docket for today. We have done the intros and done the welcome part. This is going to be a live stream that's focused on our recent December launches. I don't know if you've followed yesterday's announcements. We've had 3 mega launches that came to the surface from Netlify. We are so stoked about them. There've been like months and months of effort behind each of them with different teams. And so today we're so excited to walk you all about all the launches we've done yesterday and go over some of the use cases, go over some of the live demos. Dom's got a couple demos wired up. So we're excited to kind of, get you to see what these features are about and what they will allow you to build and do. So that's the agenda. And at the end or in the middle, please feel free to ask questions. I'll be monitoring. One of us will be monitoring the chat, and if there's any questions that we can answer right away, we'll tackle them. But if not, we'll tackle them at the end. Okay. With that said, let's actually look at what the pulse is like on the community. Any questions there?
Nothing yet. Just a lot of sites coming in.
A lot of sites coming in. Okay, we will announce the winner who has the highest number of sites at the end of the stream.
That isn't Lee Martin.
I think current leader, right, is Lee Martin, 252.
Yeah.
252. That's insane.
An absolute animal.
And Pankaj has got 8090. That's probably second.
It's pretty crazy as well.
And Gautam, NK Gautam, I think Krishna Gautam, if I'm not wrong, Gautam's got 51, which is also pretty wild. All right, so let's talk about the first feature that we launched yesterday. This probably is the meatiest, the biggest feature. I think it's sort of something that people have, especially enterprise customers, have asked for a while, and we're so excited to bring this out to the general access. Observability, right? Many of you already know what this means, but for those who don't, this is basically it's a request level tracing and logging that you can see and shows exactly where things break or slow down in production, right? It's sort of, to me, the way I felt, Dom, and you're more technical than I, but it felt like almost like X-ray level vision into your requests, right?
Yeah.
Which is almost like the smallest granular piece of sort of function you can see, like functionality, right? That's the way I experience this, or like I would describe this. Who is it for? It's for, I think the biggest value is going to be for folks, for our enterprise folks, right? If you have heavy hitting sites, right? And Dom's going to pull up one of the sites that is like a big traffic magnet. You want to be able to diagnose any of the issues, errors, error patterns, and all these things much faster, and so in a self-serve way, right? So you don't have to come to support for so much of this. So that's one of the intentions. Obviously, even for vibe coders, right? Some of you have like massively viral sites. I know, especially during the Bolt hackathon, we saw a bunch of sites that had like a big traffic spike, and you can now see, what kind of, impact different things had on your site. Look back in history. And so that's sort of the observability. I'm not going to read through the whole slide because I think the more fun part of this is going to be the live demo. So Dom, off to you. Show us what site you got.
Yeah. So before I dive in, I think one of the things I wanted to touch on was, we talked about how this is like useful for enterprise folks. I think this is useful really for anybody trying to scale a site. I think the more that we use AI, vibe coder or engineer, we don't exactly get to optimize every piece of code that goes into the code bases that we create through these agents. And, for those of us who, have a technical background, we can go back and double check its work and maybe, napkin up a couple of the problems. But realistically, when you're, coding a site, vibe coding a site, and your output is immediately deployed, you're happy, you're excited, you're off to the races. Like that's like step 1 through 5 is getting something going, right? And then I see like step 6 is realistically like optimization, right? Like our primitives, the things that we use under the hood, like functions and edge functions and background and schedule functions. These are things that maybe, when I first talked to KP, this was back before we had worked together. He told me about just-in-time learners, right? And how a lot of vibe coders nowadays, they don't really care about the problem until it's a problem, right? Like they don't need to. That's the whole point. I think what observability does is it gives you a little bit of a sneak peek into the things that your agent may have output. Like one of the things we see a lot is like large images, right? Like if it's pulling in images, it's not optimizing those images right away. And what we see a lot of the time now is like agents are hitting your site a lot, right? And so as you're getting your site hit, errors are going to happen. You're going to see your bandwidth go way up. And I think one of the things observability, at least the vision of observability for me, is that like we're going to help you like learn to control your spending, right? And learn to control your site in a way that starts to optimize for this like constant use. And so the thing that I'm really excited about for observability is that it kind of puts a lot of the power back into your hands, so that what you get a chance to do now is say, okay, this site is getting hit a lot on these pages, and on these pages I have 3 images that are unoptimized and my bill is going crazy. And right, what we see on Twitter, if a lot of you are X users, is that across any platform, like not just ours, across any platform that does billing, it's really hard to track usage, and it's really hard to track where the spend is going when you have this kind of like, you're Lee Martin and you have 250 websites, right? Like, how do you keep up with the usage patterns of all those websites? Well, this is kind of how you start to build in the direction of having real ownership over what your site's output looks like. And so I think that's where observability really excites me, is that all levels of technical knowledge can benefit from something like this. Even down to like the free plan, where you have 300 credits. If you're on the credit based plan, you have 300 credits. Well, you want to use those wisely, and you want to make sure that you get the big spend before maybe upgrading to the pro plan. And so that's going to help you kind of learn to gauge the sites that you're putting out, that you're vibe coding. And I think observability is a really handy tool for that.
Absolutely. All
Yeah.
right, demo time. Demo time.
Yeah,
I'm very impatient, Dom. I need to see.
I'm not letting your impatience run me out of being excited for observability. Darn it!
You practiced that speech last night, didn't you? Before going to bed.
You want to hear the honest truth? I'm going to be honest with everybody. Really, that was on the spot. I think it's my ADHD. I really am good at on the spotting. So, all right, let's go over to.
Nobody could deny that Dom is not passionate about a feature, right? Like
100%.
Possible.
100%. Okay. It's hard to hide from me.
All right. Let's make sure that the screen share
screen. KP is sharing now. Do I want to take over? Yeah, I want to take over.
Okay, hang on. Let me stop sharing. There we go.
All right, we're going to go entire screen. Oh, man. All right, can everybody see?
Yes. Well, we see the whole screen. We see the 10 stack start, but also on the left.
Yeah, so this will be a little bit of later's demo.
Okay.
So what we'll do right now is we'll head on over to.
And then can you do me a favor? Can you zoom in?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely will.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, actually.
And also in the chat, while Dom pulls this up, has anybody already played with observability since the launch? I'm curious, because I'm sure some of you are super eager. Like Lee Martin saying it's really well done. Neil saying we love it. Like, I'm really curious if anyone already played with the feature yet, because it's been enabled. I do see actually also a question from Krishna Gautam, which we're going to handle in a second, because his question is about especially observability. Like, does observability alert me automatically when errors happen, or do I need to check the dashboard manually?
This is something you'll have to check the dashboard for, yeah.
Yeah, I think, for now, I think it's just you have to go check the dashboard.
All right, here we go. We're in there.
Another reason to make our dashboard your homepage.
Entire boot and boot. Okay. All right. How's this look?
Yes,
we can see.
Good. Yeah, we can see.
Great.
And now,
all right. So first and foremost,
a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
Even more.
Any more?
Yeah, because it's super. It's still like not enough. Oddly. There we go. It's better.
This is better?
Yeah.
I'm on a super ultra wide. That's most likely why this is happening. So one of the first things that's really cool is that I just went to our docs project inside of our Netlify dashboard. I just picked docs and came in. And so one of the cool widgets that we have immediately, and this is actually something that like observability puts right into your dashboard, is like kind of this small little window into like, what are the requests you're getting over the last hour?
That's an hour.
How many? Yeah. So we've got a last hour here. There's more when we dig in, but you'll see there's an error rate, and you'll see all your requests down here, and like kind of all of the error codes and status codes that you're getting, and what that looks like. I think this is really cool. This is a really great way to, like, if you are Lee Martin and have 752,000 websites, you can just drop in and see this really quick widget to see if anything's like really dire for the day. If something is happening, like say this is all red and you're seeing a bunch of server errors, you'll know right up front in your dashboard. But all you have to do is go over here to logs and metrics, observability, and you'll see here, like, this is a much larger kind of screen for, oh, come on, let me scroll down outside of this. There we go. So you'll see we actually have this deep filtered categories of like all of the different zoomed in pieces of what observability is catching for you and how to filter down to them. And so you'll see here we've got just a bunch of different requests that are happening. It's showing your duration, which is really important. This is going to be something that you want to really pay attention to. Is if your page is constantly taking kind of that large duration to load, or you'll see a lot of the time once it takes too long, sometimes it'll time out. It'll catch those things, which I think is really important. But one of the things I wanted to point out immediately is like, hey, you can go over here, and we talked about how over the last hour in that widget, you have 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days, like really important into digging into like what does your monthly usage look like, and where are you finding any of those problems. And then realistically, if you already know of a problem URL, you can go right here and search any part, and it'll start to bring those things up. So you can go into any of your kind of like route groups and look for the all of the URLs inside of that route group, which is really powerful. But what I like is that they went in here. First of all, you can go into all of your different branches and look for errors inside of those branches. We're obviously in production right now, but this is the most powerful piece. This quick actions here, and what this quick actions is allowing is just giving you like basic queries that you're typically going to be looking for. And so one of the things that I really like to point out is like, what are the top URLs with errors, right? Like, if we go to the last 7 days and we look into our 59,000 requests, we'll see here we've got, and this is actually really powerful. Client error or server error is already ticked. This is so quick actions is basically giving you like pre-configured filters that are going to let you dig deeper into like what is going on inside of these route
Can
groups,
I ask
what's
a
going
question?
on.
Sorry,
Yeah,
can I ask a question? The quick
yeah, please do.
actions, are these basically like SQL queries already baked in? Like it's one click and it just queries.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's realistically like it's just like pre-baked filters, really is
okay,
how you
got
can
it.
look at it. It's like if somebody were to come in and instead of like what I did, which was click a quick action, it's like I came into the filters below here and just decided to go and say, okay, well, I really want to make sure that I'm looking for a specific HTTP method where I know that this route group is doing a lot of posts, right? And so now what I can do is I can click post, and it gets me out of what the quick action filter did. So now I have the quick action filter applied, but now I can dig even deeper. If I didn't have a quick action filter applied, I can just go and filter myself. It's really just pre-baked filters for yourself. So
Nice.
you have like traffic bandwidth and compute. You've got
Okay,
like what
main
Netlify
region.
functions are invoked the most. What are the slowest URLs? What are the top client types invoking those functions? A lot of stuff like that. What browser traffic are we getting? So exclude the bots and automated tools, which is again what we talked about. We're like you're having to figure out now as the owner of the website, like what is bots, like what bots are hitting my site, what is crawling my site, and then what are actual users doing when they visit my site, and what
Wow.
URLs are they hitting.
That actually
Um,
that's really cool that we can only just isolate the browser traffic. That's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. Very, very cool, very useful. And so, like
My
again, like
favorite
top
part is
URLs.
those quick actions. I think I
That's
actually personally
I
haven't
agree.
seen that because when I was playing, I don't think I noticed those. I was just playing on the right side.
Yeah.
But shout out to our team, whoever came up with that idea of having quick action. It's the UX, chef's kiss, right? So thank you.
Yeah. So realistically, like, what I wanted to get out there is that like one of the really cool things and kind of processes that you can start to think of now is like when you're looking for like this is a huge site, right? Like our doc site is a very large site. We're getting 60,000 requests inside of a 7 day span. And so it's really hard sometimes to know exactly where maybe we're finding client errors. Maybe there's like server errors that are happening. Maybe different requests are returning kind of status codes that we aren't aware of because we're not watching the live reel of actions that are happening. Observability really gives you kind of a magnifying glass to see, okay, I'm getting a lot of 404s. People are trying to visit this link. This link is dying a lot when they go to visit it. Cool. Now you can go back to something like agent runners. Like you notice a problem here, you can go back to agent runners and just send off an agent to start working on why is that happening, because it has access to that code base. It has access to look at what types of things are inside of here that could be causing that. Because now and you have the knowledge to say, hey, like a lot of the time, if you go to your agent, right, you're like, hey, fix a problem. I think there's a problem. Fix it. It's now just trying to kind of feel around in the dark for like what the actual issue is with those pages, with that site, with your code. This gives you an insight into being able to say, okay, well, I know that it's happening on this route. I know that it's returning this code. Please go and look at the code that I have that we built for this page. and find the problem for me. And then you can send a runner off, and it can work on that asynchronously in a way that doesn't affect your production site and gives you a peek into kind of what is happening. And what I really like to do with agents is I usually like to go, okay, when you figure it out, write me a little markdown doc to like know what happened, because to
Wow.
KP's point of like just in time learners, like it starts to give you that like confidence to be able to go, okay, I know what 404 errors are, I know why they're happening, and I know what causes it, so I can look out for that in the future when I build things.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's great. Is there one more thing you want to show before we move to the next thing?
No, this is like really, I just wanted to show like, a get in there, like this is something that you really have to get hands on with. And so feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, feel free to reach out to me on any of the platforms that you know that I'm on. If you ever need to like you need help running through your dashboard or have questions about like what observability empowers you to do, feel free to reach out to myself or KP, and we're happy to help you.
That's awesome.
But I
So
wanted to
let
give you all a kind of a start into like using quick actions, understanding how to dig in deeper, and find some issues that are going on across your site. And honestly, it's not all about issues too. It also shows you all of the successes of the requests that are happening around your site, and gives you like that confidence to know like your site is scaling in a way that's going to be usable.
That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to take this sharing
Yeah, take
back
my share off. Yep.
gracefully. Uh, um, and all right, so we're ready for the next feature, AI Gateway. I feel like this is like super exciting for me, especially as a vibe coder. I know there's like enterprise, benefits too, but I think especially this one is going to be like even more direct and valuable to vibe coders. And so just to kind of set the context on the AI gateway, basically the one line intro is it's a built-in. It's going to allow to have built-in model credentials and billing for three predominant LLMs, right? Like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, with no API key management required. Now, as a vibe coder who built other projects in the past where I needed to add an AI feature for my project, I had to go sign up for a developer account at OpenAI, and then for Cloud, and I had to go based on what I wanted. For example, I wanted to build something with Nano Banana, and so I needed to get like Gemini's API keys, and all of us know how freaking hard it is to get Gemini's go through like Google documentation to get those API keys. What if there was no way that what if there was a way where you didn't have to worry about getting all these keys from all these other vendors? And that's just three, but like there could be more in the future, right? So AI Gateway is a direct way where you can basically leverage those APIs inside of Netlify, which is insane to me, right? So you can write AI powered features without wrestling with credentials. You don't have to worry about environment variables, because all of these vendors, they all have their own environment variables, obviously, along with the keys. So you have to deal with all of that, set up an infrastructure, all of those things. Now you don't have to. And also billing is split across the four or five, models you might be using. But what if there was a centralized way, right? So that's sort of the pitch of AI Gateway. You don't need any more credentials, from all of these individual vendors. You basically go through Netlify AI Gateway, and you have access to all these three models. And so that's been super helpful in some of the projects that I'm building. And I know, Dom, you have a demo to kind of bring this to life, right? With
Yeah,
Tank
yeah.
Connect.
So yeah, one of the
Okay.
things I wanted to bring up too is that it's many models, right? It's under the umbrella of these companies, but you get access to any of those companies like OpenAI, Gemini. You get access to the collection of models purely through your already singular billing with Netlify, which I think, and we see this across a lot of products now. And I think AI gateways have become like a really powerful way for people who are already bought in on where they're hosting, or even maybe within the technology stack that they're using. And realistically, we're seeing a lot more powerful tools come out to be able to utilize multi models across the tools that you're building. And I think once you start to get into that realm where you are building things with multiple models, that's where, like, don't be wrong, if you're just using one, this is still very useful because it's one billing plan. But I think as soon as you step into like the plus more, and I actually did a show with Jason Langsdorf, he does like a web dev challenge where we ended up using a gateway because we had about 3 or 4 models that we were using across this stack that we were building. And it just makes it so much easier to not only just not have to go sifting through all of these sites to get the API keys and then manage them properly. It also puts you into a position where, again, like it's a one-stop shop to get building with AI, and I think that is the cleanest way that you can do it nowadays. So yeah, excited to show up. I'm happy to show up a little demo that I'm working on. Let me know. I know you said that the Zoom was like, I had to go really deep into the Zoom, because now we're going to have multiple like windows that we're capturing, and so if I have to zoom in on the individual windows, let me know, and I'm happy
We'll
to do
do.
that.
100% we'll do.
What we're going to be showing off today is how easy it is to go from zero to working chat AI chat application with Tanstack. We know Tanstack just recently released their AI SDK. Super excited. I got to build with that over the last few days and chat with the Tanstack team. And I think it's a really exciting kind of step into exactly what we're talking about, which is like you're going to be building applications where you're going to need image optimization through Nano Banana. You're going to need chat capabilities through multiple different models. And we know that our products are being, infused with AI, so fast nowadays that I think this is going to be a really cool demo to show you, like, this is how easy it is to get up and running.
Okay, so while you pull that up, can I ask you a couple questions that I'm seeing here?
Yeah.
Okay, so any possibility to integrate Llama or Llama in the future?
Yeah, so I think that's something that we probably end up discussing with Sean Roberts, who's our head of applied AI. He does a lot of our work in the community and getting out and engaging with these companies. So right now, these three housing models that we have are what we're pretty set on, and making sure that it's an absolutely optimal experience. I'm sure we're going to start branching out into more models eventually, but I don't have an exact timeline on that. It's something we would have to talk about internally.
No worries. There's one more, which is, well, Krishna, I think Krishna Gautam is asking, is this going to be more like Open Router? Billing happens
Yes.
centrally when we use multiple API. Yeah, in
Yeah,
theory,
it's gonna be similar to Open Router, and that's actually what I ended up using in that Jason
Hackathon.
Langsdorff video.
Yeah.
Was Open Router, and so it's very similar. I think where you're going to see differences is that we are a product company in which has an AI gateway. Open Router is as a product an AI gateway, and so some of the cool things that Open Router does is that they have a lot of they have a lot of statistics that they track internally with Open Router, and I think it's a really cool.
What is this, Matt?
What the heck are you doing here,
look who's
Matt?
just crashed our party.
Hey,
Can you imagine, like, you're just sitting here streaming and your CEO just comes in with such a beautiful smile?
Who let you in, Matt? Matt, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much. You, I had a feeling that you were saying you had some other, meeting or something else. I guess you were excited to be a part of the stream.
Yeah, I was in a meeting, but I found this link and I thought, like, hey, I'm gonna go bug these people. And
Hey, I know these guys.
All right, we've been having such a great chat so far. To recap, we just covered observability, and Dom went through our doc site, which we saw that there's like 65,000 requests in the last hour or something. It's crazy.
In the last week, yeah, 60,000 requests.
And then we also in the chat we've been seeing a lot of questions on observability, and folks like Lee Martin, we learned that he has
250 sites.
So there's also a contest going on, Matt. Who we are asking all the folks on the stream to tell us who's got the highest number of sites deployed on Netlify, and you're not allowed to be partaking in this.
I can tell you all, I have 61 pages in my project overview. I don't
wow, that's unfortunately that is you're the what do you call that, admin? What's the view, like the God view? You have the highest level access. But anyways,
can I bump in and ask Matt a question before we go into?
Yes, please go on. I have a couple, but you go on, please. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So Matt, we talked about observability and how what I kind of tried to drill in on with observability is that we talked about its use case for enterprise, and obviously it's there. Big sites want to know what's happening, but I think that there's like such an empowering use case for the vibe coder generation, because like what it's going to give them is this power to start having that just-in-time learning capability, to start understanding what scaling a site looks like. And I think a lot of the tools that exist in the ecosystem, they're really good at getting you started. They're really good at getting you to production. But like, what happens after? Like, what do you do once you are in production and you're getting hit with requests and your bill is inflating? You don't know what to do. Like, observability is such a key piece in letting you like drill into page by page. What are the error codes that we're hitting? And then work with the agent, like something like Agent runners to be able to start to like really understand like what is happening to my site, why are they hitting these, what are these codes, and how do I, you know, work with them? Like, what is the power of observability to you, and like what, you know, what do you think it empowers like our broad community of technologists and kind of these new like generation of vibe coders? Like, what does that look like for them?
Yeah, so several points to that, right? Like the first one that's interesting is that when you say enterprise, right? Like actually for a long time, the reason we didn't really do that much in observability was that we thought like all of the big enterprise customers, they have like an external observability platform. They have like
Yeah.
a contract with like a Datadog or New Relic and so on, right? Like, so we invested a lot in what we called log drains to connect to that observability
Okay.
platform and everything that way, right? Like, but vibe coding across the whole spectrum, right? Like the thing with vibe coding is that it starts happening everywhere, right? Like it starts happening to this whole new community of personal builders, of everyone building their own sites. But it also
Exactly.
starts happening in all of our enterprise customers, that their SE teams, their finance teams, their HR team, their product managers, everyone starts building apps and so on, right? Like, and suddenly this idea that like for all of those, you got to wire them up to some Datadog stuff to see what's going on and so on starts being really unwieldy, right? Like, so that was like one of the drivers to saying, okay, at this point we need something that's just like built into the platform that's like world class and lets you just like spin up a new project, and you know, like the observability is just there. You can understand what's going on in the project, right? Like, and that I think goes across the whole spectrum, right? Like I think for a lot of vibe coders, there'll be a learning curve at looking at that, but I think part
Yeah.
of what's powerful with a platform for ours is also you can start learning being more of a developer, right? Like, and just
Yeah.
understanding what actually happens in a web request can become really important to build your real mental model on like how does this whole thing happen, right? Like, so hopefully the observability platform can help there, and it can also help answering a ton of questions that we can like make easier over time to zoom in on things
Yeah.
like how much are LLM agents
Yeah.
actually accessing my
That's
website?
something we
What are they
brought up in
doing
the
on it,
demo.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, totally, right? Like that's
Yeah.
like super interesting information, right? Like what are they seeing, right? Like what, and just understanding thing, right? Like I vibe coded this project, how like are some of the functions giving internal server errors, right?
Yeah.
Like,
What the heck are these status
right?
codes? Like, I don't even know what these numbers mean. Like,
Exactly, right? Like,
yeah.
and for a starting point, we can allow everybody to go there and see it, right? Like,
Yeah.
but then this also becomes a foundational piece that we can build a ton on top of, right? Like,
Yeah.
because now comes the whole question of the agent experience of
AX.
our observability platform, right? Like, how can we give agents, both the agents running in our agent runners or your local cursor or like Bolt or whoever you're working with, right? Like, how
Yeah.
can we give those agents access to this observability information, right? Like, because
Yeah.
ideally, if my website has some kind of problem, right? Like, I don't even want to have to go and dig through the observability platform and
Yeah.
figure out. I want to be able to spin up an agent runner and say, hey, like this user reported that when they go to the checkout and try to buy, they're getting this weird error message. What's happening, right? Like, and then I want that agent runner to be able to like just look through look through like query
Yeah.
in, see, oh, like I see that error in the observability panel and it seems to be this specific function that's throwing that error, and I can see the log from that function, and now I can diagnose the problem, and now I can propose a fix, and here's like an agent run a fix, right? Like um because I think that it's kind of like one of the big things that no one has really solved well yet, right? Like that these agents typically don't have access to the runtime information about the projects you're working on, right? Like, and if you think about like traditional developers, if you think about our development team, right? Like, if all of our developers only had access to localhost on their laptop, and they couldn't go to our Datadog, and they couldn't go to our log querying mechanisms, and they couldn't see any of that, right? Like, they would be lost in like they would be able to build the features, but then when people tell us like, hey, this is broken, they would just be like, I don't know why, right?
I have
Like
to
I
take your
can't
word for it, right? Because
have
they
to
can't
take your word
replicate
for it. Like I don't know what's going on any more than you do, right? Like, and that's not a great answer, right? Like, but that's kind of like the position we're putting the
agents.
coding agents in right now, that they only have access to the code and
Yeah,
the
because you're a
local
bunch,
environment, right?
you're
Like,
across a bunch of disparate platforms a lot of the time, and like
yeah,
there's no real way to like. When we brought up agent runners, Matt, I don't know if you remember me bringing this up, but like the vision that I had that really excited me about like where we're going, and I think what happens a lot of the time is we move so fast. A lot of the time that like we only get to see like what's right here. But
yeah,
what I'm excited about is like eventually being able to have like that Netlify agent, right, or something similar, which is
totally,
kind of where runners is in the position
totally.
of like it knows my site, it knows my usage, it knows my errors, it knows everything about my code base that like you said, like when I'm back in Claude or if I'm in VS Code and I'm using Claude Code and VS Code, like it knows what my code base is doing. It understands like what it's supposed to output. But in reality, and I think this is good for vibe coders to start to learn, is like once you go to production, there is a plethora of ways in which your website can
Oh yeah,
unknowingly fail, even if you think that the agent did the right thing. Remember that agents only learn from what we have output. And when it's learning off of what we have output onto the web or across all of these repos, it's so easy for it to make a mistake that is so hard for the naked eye of even a developer who is seasoned in looking at code can spot. And I think that we're building into a really good place where we built the house, right? And we bought it and we have the land and it looks really great. Now we're like setting the table and buying the accoutrement to really furnish the house. And I think that like where we're going with this release makes me very confident. And I'm very honest. I'll tell you when I'm not excited or when I'm not happy about something. This makes me feel very confident that our platform is starting to become all inclusive of the development community and all of the stages that they're in to help them kind of handhold when we have to, or give them the power that they need when they need to run with it themselves.
totally.
100%.
And we are also thinking about like the ability to like over time, like we will sit in this area where we'll now have that observability panel for like millions and millions of sites, and we'll start detecting patterns, right? Like, so maybe when we start detecting patterns, we can automatically start surfacing them and suggesting an agent run, right? Like,
Yeah, kind of
Oh
like
my
the
God,
how
that
did
would be
my build
awesome.
fail?
That would be
we're
awesome.
seeing from observability that seems you have
Yeah.
this problem. Do you want to kick off like an agent run to fix it for you, right? Like those kind of things I think can be really powerful. And if that gets robust enough, like maybe it even becomes background for feature, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we ran an agent run, it fixed this problem. Do you want to like take it to production, right?
Vibe debugging, right?
Yeah,
Just like hit a button and then it's kind of okay. So we have to be conscious of time. I
yeah,
have one rapid fire question from Matt and Dom. While I ask that, can you pull up the pull up
Sure
the
can.
demo for
Yeah, sure can.
do your setup and everything?
Yep.
Matt, the question that I have for you, and I know you're probably pressed for time too, so I won't keep you for long. Is how are you thinking about AI gateway and the evolution of that? Right. I think a lot of folks here in the audience are vibe coders. There's, of course, some enterprise folks, but like, where is it today? Where do you think it's going to evolve into the future?
so the AI gateway I see is kind of a core primitive similar to Netlify functions, right? Like, so Netlify functions was our core compute primitive when they launched, right? Like, before we launched Netlify functions, we only had static hosting, right? Like you could deploy static sites and static front end apps, and compute could only happen at build times. Then we launched Netlify functions. That meant like, okay, now we can just put some
Logic.
server-side code in your repository or in your folder, and when you deploy it, it just works, right? Like it just runs, and you don't have to think about where it runs or
Right.
how it runs. It just runs, right? Like, and you can build endpoints, or you can build it like server-side rendering, or you can build anything you can do with compute to some degree, right? Like, now I see inference as the next part of that, right? Like, modern apps are just gonna have needs to ask an LLM, hey, run this prompt and give me a response, right? Like, go generate an image from this prompt, right? Like, and our AI gateway is the way of like taking the same approach. You should just be able to write code for that, or your coding agent should be able to write code for that And when you deploy to Netlify, it should just work, right? Like you shouldn't have to hook anything up or like copy paste API keys and so on, right? Like, and the more that becomes a core primitive, the more you can start taking it for granted, right? Like you can have starter templates that just includes like AI capabilities. As we make it available in more places, you can imagine like extensions that hook into builds and does stuff with inference at the build step, right? Like localization, stuff like that. You can easily imagine building extensions that depends on inferences being available that runs there. And in general, it just feels like one of these layers um, that's gonna be a part of how we build applications in the future,
Right.
just like storage, compute. Like these pieces have always been part of, like, without those you can't build applications, right? Like I think over time inference is just going to be similar, right? Like it's just a part of what we need to build applications, and we want to make sure that's just a primitive in
It's
Netlify.
always
Shouldn't have to
there,
be
right?
part of
Yeah.
it. Like, it should just work.
That's amazing. Awesome. So I'll say thank you so much for joining. First of all, you crashed our party. Thank you so much for crashing our party and making it more fun to have more representation from Netlify team. Appreciate your support for this launch. I know the whole team worked so hard on this, so we're grateful that you're sort of championing this and sharing and connecting with the community, Matt. So it means a lot. I know a lot of our fans here, they love hearing from you. So this is awesome. Okay, awesome. So let's get into the demo. Dom, I know. So in your screen, we're looking at Tanstack AI, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, we've got a
Um,
few things here, and
yeah,
I'm happy to
so where do
kind
you
of
want to
give
start?
a.
Do you want to start with the third screen and zoom into the demo piece?
So I'm gonna actually give a lay of the land, kind of gives everybody like a starting point of what to expect here, and then
Okay,
we
so
can kind
can
of go
I
through.
just say something? We
Sure.
have 14 minutes left, so if you
Yeah.
can maybe skip a couple steps and get to sort of the core pieces, it'll be great.
Yeah. So this is going to be a technical demo. We're just showing how to. This is a base Tanstack site generated from their CLI. You'll see I changed a couple of things here. Really, I just moved the dependency down to a dev dependency, updated it for our Tanstack Vite plugin, and then realistically from there, this is all stuff that doesn't matter. And so for us, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over to the Tanstack AI docs. We're going to dig in. We're going to go straight to Quick Start. And their quick start is actually just installing a few packages, which is going to be their AI React, their AI, and their OpenAI tools. And you'll see here in the file tree here, we don't have an environment variable file, which you'll typically need to get started with these AI SDKs, because you need to import the environment variable so that it can use it to connect to there. So what we're going to be showing today is how AI Gateway kind of removes an entire friction point and gets you up and running with AI very quickly. So what we'll do is, while I'm talking, I can go over here and install these dependencies. So we're going to get Tanstack AI React, and Tanstack AI OpenAI. What we're going to be doing is building a very small chat application. You're so used to seeing it. But realistically, the really cool part about this is that this is the new SDK, and it already works with our gateway out of the box. And so we'll just go ahead. We'll copy. This is kind of the API route or server route that you'll be using, and this just handles streaming the context back from the chat model back to your front end. And so all we got to do here is go over to our routes with Tanstack start. All you have to do is create an API route, and then inside of there, a new file called chat.ts. That's going to be our TypeScript file. It said here, I'm going to give you some stuff that you don't need really, but we'll hold on to that for now.
Can you the middle screen? Can you zoom in a little bit so we can kind of see? Or is this just more setup and that's
You can. I mean, this is literally what you'll see. Is I'll copy this in real quick. Go like this. Right. And so all you'll need to see here is that we're looking for an open API key. And so if we don't, we're going to fail out. Otherwise, create the streaming chat response, convert the stream to an HTTP response, and return that back to the client. So that's all this is doing. We're actually going to have to make a little bit of a change here, because we're going to need to import our create file route. And this is from, give me that. Come on. There we go, from React Router. And then we're going to go down. We're going to export const route equals create file route, bang. Start a new folder in here. All right, and so all we're going to do is we're going to grab all of this out. We need server, handlers, post, and then in here we'll do our function. Grab the request out. I think we're actually going to have to go and set up a type for it, because again, we're in TypeScript. We want to make sure our types are setting properly. And then we'll just grab all of this down here. All right, and put that in here. Boom. So we've got our new file route. Great. What this does, again, this is just an API route that our client's going to be able to call to get that chat response back. So one more piece, we got to set up the client, the component, right? So we'll go into our components, create a file, chat.tsx, that's our new component. We can just copy and paste that right in, right? And then the last piece is just go into our index. We can delete all of the kind of filler content that comes inside of here. Got to keep the container div. So we'll get rid of features. This is all just going to be in the way. And we'll get rid of this sections. Boom. And then we got our new chat component. It's breaking, you can already see. Why does it hate me? Okay, bang, we get rid of this. And then all that's left is to import chat from components chat. Bang, okay, great. So now you'll see here, we have our chat input down here. Now we can type to it and send it in. You'll see here, we're not getting a response from the assistant. Let's actually make this text white. Great. So yeah, we're not getting anything from our assistant because right now there is no environment variables set up. So if you go to your inspect, you'll actually see we are going to network. We'll hit another chat. You'll see here we're actually getting a failure. It's a little small. But open API key not configured. Now that makes sense, right? We haven't actually connected this to Netlify yet. And so the last piece that we really have to get done here is that for AI Gateway to work on your local projects, you have to actually create a Netlify site and move it to production. And so realistically, all we got to do now is get this up to GitHub, right? So we'll create, and so we already have a repo for this. I set this up before because I knew it would take a little bit of time. So we've got our repo already. We just got to add the new commit. And so this is going to be added a new chat feature. Boom, we're so cool. We'll push it up. And now the last part that we'll have to do is we're going to end up deploying this. And so I'll be using the Netlify CLI for this. So we go Netlify deploy, create site, TANStacked. And so now that, oh, TANStacked is already, oh no, it's because I already have it. All right, we are going to go back to our Netlify dash. We're going to log out of our Netlify account. I've been doing this all on my personal account. I like to be closer to like what you'll actually be dealing with when you are building it yourself. So I've been building it on my personal account. We'll come into here. There shouldn't be we'll do a different name. TANStack chat is already taken. Please try a different name. Let's try this again. TANStack drop demo. That should work. All right. So it's creating our site for us. And so again, with AI Gateway, to be able to, the really powerful part is once you make this deploy happen, we'll end up actually moving it to production. Once it's moved to production, you have access to all of those environment variables that you'll need for your chat application, right, injected from Netlify in your local environment, right? And so we'll do Netlify deploy prod. We'll get that up to a production deploy. And so we'll come over back to our actual site. Let's move this a little bit bigger. We'll refresh. wait for this to get done. And while we wait for this to get done, one of the things that I want to repoint out is like, again, we have not set up an environment variable. We haven't even gone into Netlify to configure anything. The only thing that you need to do is be on our credit-based plan for this to work, because obviously that's how you get action from our AI features. But once you have, whether you're on the free plan, the pro plan, or anything above, once you have that connection to your plan, these environment variables are easily injected right away from your account. And so you'll see here, we're finishing our uploads, deploying the functions, which we only have that one function. So it's a pretty quick deploy. Great. We refresh on our page. You'll see our TanStack drop demo, right? Let's click it. So here we are. So if I type into here, you'll see we are getting an answer back from OpenAI, which is really cool. That's
that part. Can you zoom in? That's great.
Yeah. So you'll see here, this is our response coming back from the assistant. So this is OpenAI getting back to us. And all we did there was type hey there. And so this is on our deployed site. So again, like that's already all set up, which is really cool. But I think the most powerful part is that when you come back here, we'll restart back up our dev, npm run dev. And so now you'll see here on the right side, this is our localhost 3000. And so when we type hey there, we are now locally with no setup, no environment variable configuration, absolutely no work other than spinning up the project and connecting it to OpenAI. We now have a working local way to test using these runners against our account. And I think, to me, that is like the truly, truly powerful experience of using Gateway. Not only did I not have to go and configure it through like OpenAI itself, I also got the opportunity to just build my project and not worry about absolutely anything else. And so obviously this is a more technical demo. And so for folks out there that are a little less technical, this might seem like gibberish to you. But one of the cool things that you have experienced as well is that when you work with these agents, they're spinning up this code for you. And so you're going to have to get to the same point of going and getting that API key, forcing it into the Netlify dashboard, making sure that the environment variable is set up, making sure that they're not leaking the environment variable. And so like all of these things you'll be working with your agent to do, but you end up getting to skip a lot of the process because now not only does Netlify handle going and exchanging that key for you and holding onto those keys, it actually manages those keys for you so that you're never going to get an accidental leak into your actual code, which is a very, very powerful thing.
Which is
to
one of
handle
the
when you're
things
working
that
with
as
Gateway.
a vibe coder I'm always worried about is that when I make these edits or changes, in whether it's Bolt or whether it's my Lovable project, whatever, any of these other projects, I'm always worried that it's going to leak the environment variables, because a lot of the AI agents, for some reason, they love to put the keys in the front end code, right? And you're like, so you have to always double check. But also, like you said, one is that security issue. The other one is just procurement of these keys is a pain, right? Because it's for a vibe coder to go get API keys from Claude or OpenAI and Gemini is a pain in the neck. So this is really powerful. Awesome. So we have a few minutes to go over pre-rendering. I want to actually quickly go into that slide, and then we'll do some Q&A beyond our time because I think we have some questions.
Yeah, and I'm happy to stay a little later for my peoples.
Yes. Okay, so let's go to the last piece. We don't have specifically a demo for this because this is more of a more of a sort of how it works and how this comes to life. So Dom, you can speak to that. But I think pre-render extension, basically, I mean, Matt yesterday was telling me about how I was assuming this is mostly helpful for enterprise folks and not so much for vibe coders. But one of the things that he sort of underlined yesterday was when you build these vibe coded projects, use Lovable, use whatever, any of these, tools, more often than not, the outcome is a server side rendered project, if I'm not wrong. And so the crawling bots and
the
SEO.
opposite actually. The
Is
actual
it, sorry, it's client side. Sorry, it's client side.
client side, yeah.
And so
Anything you build with Lovable, for example, is totally client side rendered.
Yes, which means that agents can't see that, correct, Matt? Like they can't see the content.
I mean, basically anything that's not a full browser will only get a skeleton, right? Like, so it doesn't get any content. Like when you try to fetch the page, you just
it tries to read off metadata, right? And like make an assumption based off of the metadata.
Right.
And that's both like any search engine crawlers, right? Like, so
Yeah.
Google is actually today pretty good at like Google will actually run and execute your JavaScript. So Google might just work fine, but now we have all these new crawlers that are not Google, right? Like OpenAI's crawler doesn't read any JavaScript, right? Like, so anything that's actually in your vibe coded page might not show up to OpenAI's crawler, and it's never gonna get indexed for ChatGPT and so on, right? Like, but then there's also all these, like when you share a link on Twitter, for example, Twitter will fetch that URL, and then it'll use that to generate like
The
the
OG.
metadata picture,
Yeah, OG,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but Twitter doesn't read your client-side JavaScript, right? Like, so if that page is client-side generated, it just doesn't get anything, right? Like, and you won't get anything. The same with sharing a link in Slack and so on. All of these unfurls just don't work, right? Like, and that's kind of a real problem, right? Like, we had an internal, like, actually part of what made me say, like, we've had this pre-rendering functionality since forever, but now we turned it into a
Yeah.
really robust extension that goes into our observability platform, uses our caching layer and everything, right? Like, and part of what made me tell the team, we like, let's go really like
Dude.
make this real, was actually one of our distinguished engineers vibe coding an app. So Eduardo from our team, like, was trying his hand at vibe coding, and one of his first sort of like fully vibe coded things was this little the sandwich builder, where people can build their own sandwich and share them, right? Like, and he ran exactly into this problem, right? Like that the um I think he used Bolt for this, right? Like, and Bolt built it entirely as a client side application, right? Like, and it all works really well. It's really fun. But if you share it and tweet it, Twitter can't read your sandwich, right? Like, so it just gives the generic, like, and you want Twitter to be able to read your sandwich and share that image of your sandwich, but there was no way to do it, right? Like,
So the unfurling wasn't happening. Is that right?
it wasn't happening, right? Like, because all of the logic here happens in the client. It only happens when it's an actual browser reading the URL and executing it, right? Like, so what pre-rendering essentially does for you is that when Twitter tries to access this URL, we send that request to a headless browser, and we run the whole request there, and then we capture the output from that and send that back to Twitter, and now it gets like the fully rendered page, and now the unfurling just work. And the same when OpenAI's crawler comes to visit, and the same when Google's crawler comes to visit, and so on. And then we do all the caching to make sure we don't have to render
Do
that
it
in the
all the
browser
time.
for every single like
Yeah.
request, but only like when something changed, right? Like, and that's really powerful for vibe coders, right? Like, so if you're running into the trouble with a lovable projects that just don't work for SEO purposes or similar, you can check. We actually made a really handy little
Yes.
um
Do I need pre-rendering?
do I need pre-rendering? Yeah. What's the link again? Do you have it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hang on, let me pull that out. It's
It's
like,
also really powerful when you're in an agent experience like Lovable, Bolt, or any of those chat-based experiences, even if you're coding.
Yeah.
If you're, say, trying to use a site as inspiration to say, hey, I want you to look at this site and its content and its context and like help that inform your opinion, that's
Yeah.
impossible for these agents to do doing their web search because they can't find the same information that we're sending back. And so this empowers your agents even more to have access to the context of these sites in a deeper manner than just like whatever metadata you've set for yourself.
Exactly.
I just
Exactly.
shared the
Right.
link
Like,
in the
so
chat for anyone who's
it's
curious.
really part of like also helping our customers build the right agent experience for
Yeah,
their projects.
100%.
Okay, so I actually, sorry, let me share my screen for a second because I did that analysis just now. What Matt was trying to say, I took that sandwich site and I put it in pre-rendering checker, and it's, it ran through all of these scenarios, and it's basically saying yes, it does have client-side rendering
Yeah.
and a bunch of empty divs, right, so on and so forth. So strongly indicates that JavaScript populates all primary content after page load. This is where the things will miss. and hence it says yes, you should do pre-rendering. That's pretty cool. I love this tool. We're gonna include this in the show notes. That the specific AI check tool. Okay, so we are at the end of our first ever live community drop live stream. So I'm really grateful for everyone who's tuned in, for all the questions that came in. But we will spend a few more minutes actually here answering some questions that I saw through the chat. I mean, through the session. So if there's anybody here who wants to ask a new question, or Matt, yeah, see you, Matt. Thank you so much.
Matt, thanks for coming by, Matt. We really appreciate you.
After crashing your old spotty, great fun
so
hanging with you.
Please crash it more. We're always welcome.
Yeah, careful what you wish for. See you all.
See you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, so so Neil, was there a question? I feel like Neil had either a question or a comment. I think he was talking about. No, it's a comment.
I also shared a few links. I put it in this Riverside public chat, so I hope it's going across the chat so that everyone can see it. But we'll do a follow up with some resources and links that we'll hand out after. But I just wanted to send you all to a couple of really good blog posts that kind of give you a deeper detail into like what these products are. So share this in the chat.
I had a question from Swatantra, who is part of our Vibe Squad. He's saying, our experts at Vibe Code Fixers would like to use pre-rendering as part of the service. Is there any plan to make it available via API in the future?
So this is a question that we'd have to bring to our engineering team. As far as I know right now, this is purely an extension. And so probably built with private APIs to get there. But I assume we also have the Netlify SDK, which gives you a lot of access to kind of the internals of building your own platform primitives from Netlify. And so I don't think that it's completely out of the case of being possible, but I don't think it's something that we have currently on our roadmap. But we can also share after. We can do a follow-up to see what the engineering team thinks about that. And I know we had Philip in the chat earlier, so if Philip has anything on that, would be powerful. But as of right now, purely an extension currently, but we'll definitely take your feedback into consideration and send it over to the team.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks for the time.
Neil's talking about the V sites. All right. Let's look at any other pending questions that we may have missed earlier when we were doing the demos.
Yeah, and it can be about anything. If anybody has any questions, like, obviously we're here to talk about the launch, but like
Eagles, can we talk about the Eagles?
Listen, we don't want to go into talking about the Eagles. I wore the jersey. Listen, I love them. I've loved them my whole life. It's been a rough season. It's been a weird season.
You did get some love from somebody in the community somebody was talking about Fly Eagles Fly.
I love that.
A lot of the questions, actually, to be honest, I think Philip has been answering really well. So thank you, Philip.
Hey, he's the GOAT. He's the same. Hey, listen, what you all are using him for is the same thing I use him for. So.
The question about, does AI Gateway come with some limit setting? And
I saw Philip had answered that. We don't have that yet, but I do think that is something that we'll want to include in the platform. I think a lot of
can you explain to me how limit setting would help? Like, I'm curious.
Yeah, so it basically just says like, here's the spend I want to have. So like, for instance, like if you are working with OpenAI, you can go to OpenAI and say, hey, $50 is the limit of like, once I hit $50, cut me off. Do not let me go any further. And so I think like right now that like those limits are your credits, right? Is kind of where you're at. But I think what they're asking for is like, is there a way to say, hey, say I'm on the pro plan and I have X amount of credits, only use 1,000 credits. I think one of the big problems that we're running into right now to make that a reality is probably that we have to do a lot of like inference checking across like what are the primitives you're using, what is happening on the web request side, and then it also on the like where the AI handshake is happening between us and these providers. And so definitely I don't think something that's out of bounds for us to want to include, but as Philip said in the chat, not something that we have currently available.
So there's two more questions that I noticed. Maybe Philip already answered, but I'm going to resurface them anyway for the feed. How does observability help diagnose latency issues in AI-driven workflows? And like, what metrics should I prioritize for a high traffic site?
Yeah, so I think one of the like to figure out metrics like that, you're going to be looking at like bandwidth, I think, for the functions that you're using that interact with these different models, and like how long are the requests taking to load back into the page, I think is going to tell you a large story about like what's happening in the handoff of that stream, and where you'll find a lot of like kind of your failures. So I think understanding your route groups that are hitting these API endpoints and initiating that handshake is a really powerful way to get initiated into that. And then I think also looking at like what are the how many requests are going in, how long are those requests taking to succeed? Are they succeeding? And then like also again like taking this information, like I don't think there's one foolproof way to go and say this is what you're going to look for those types of failures, but it's finding those patterns, and that's why this is kind of something that you have to upskill on, is being able to look at these requests and filter through and find those important pieces. Use agents as you go, right? Like bring the different error codes into your agent conversations, into your like non-actionable agents, your planning modes, and go, hey, I'm seeing a lot of these 402 errors. Like, what is that error? What should I be worried about? And what should I look for when dealing with these errors? I think it's really just like this is a time to start to understand the web cycle and what those request cycles look like through the different routes and endpoints that you're using. It's really just getting a little bit more deeply into what is happening to your site and how to start to find those patterns. Observability gives you a great way to surface them, but you have to find those patterns yourself and start to connect the dots. And so I think just utilizing the agents that you're working with to kind of upskill yourself and have that just-in-time learning experience is a really powerful way to get there.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'll read one more question out from Gotham, which is for AI Gateway, I think he's
Yeah.
talking about how does caching work? I've got an app with a bunch of repeatable API calls. How
Yeah.
does caching work in this context? I'm a non-dev.
Yeah, so I mean, realistically, that's going to be something that you have to build in yourself. Is a caching layer if you're not wanting to hit like when you're doing live back and forth with these agents, like that's going to be requests that happen and come in and out. So like it's not like you can hold on to like memory as they call it, like
Yeah.
putting together, like you can do it through a DB. I've done it lightly in blobs. Blobs is not a primitive that you should use to like go to production with memory. But what I've been using it as is kind of a layer of like conversational context so that an agent can look back at what you've said already to make decisions on what goes next. I think if you're building something more robust, you're going to want to go with like a deep layer of database and actually build that into your product. But like caching for responses, that's something that you'll be building custom into the site. But we do have cache APIs that you can utilize for that.
Amazing. Awesome. So I think I have two. Wait, I have a random question for function securities. So Lee Martin's got a question. How are functions being secured so other sites can't call them? Through CORS, or is there any other way to lock down a function with an API key of some sort?
Yeah, so I think I'd have to like dig deeper into like what you're looking for, Lee. Like, are you looking for a way to gate? So like if someone were to visit a page of yours to gate the function request completely, or are you looking to make it so that like certain sites don't have access to the information that API request responds to? I think it's something that like Lee, feel free to DM me and we can go back and forth and try and figure that out. But I think it depends on what the outcome you're looking for is to figure out what we would need to implement for that. But probably something we can do together.
Amazing. All right, awesome. So I'm going to now officially call this a wrap. You know, Dom, we've this has been super engaging. First of all, I'm so grateful for everybody.
Thank
I
you
will
all so
drop.
much for coming out.
Yeah,
Seriously.
thanks for coming out and sharing and asking a lot of questions. It's really felt like a two-way, you know, sort of almost like an online meetup kind of thing where people were really
Yeah.
asking and, you know, they were following along. So I
Agreed.
appreciate it. I just shared the link to our blog post, which is where you'll find more information and some of the deep dives into the features we talked about today. So please take a look at them. And my call to action for all of you who are still on the feed is please give us some social love. If you've had a great time on this stream, or if you are excited particularly about any one feature, it could be observability, it could be AI gateway, or anything else. We want to be more social with you in the future, starting today. So please tag us, tag Dom, tag myself. I'm going to add my Twitter URL here. We will respond to your DMs, your public tags, mentions, everything. This is hopefully a two-way street, and starting from today. So with that said, Dom, drop your link. Did it? Thank you.
Oh no.
Awesome.
So I wanted to point out too, like one of the things that I did earlier in my career when I was getting into developer advocacy was open up my DMs to folks that were transitioning and looking to kind of upskill so that we can kind of talk about like what my journey looked like. I'm a transitioner. I never went to college. I'm very self-taught. And so like, I know what a lot of you are experiencing kind of in this like overwhelming world and even a little bit more overwhelming because there's so much more tools. Feel free to DM me. Like it doesn't always have to be about Netlify. If you're in your journey and you just need help or you need someone to chat with, like we are working on something to hopefully, bring you all together eventually. But in the meantime, while we figure that out, please come by and message KP or myself. Very open to communication and conversation. And like, I'm a very honest guy. KP's a very honest guy. We'll tell you where you need to go and we'll tell you when we don't know and maybe can connect you upward and into the rest of the community. But we want to open doors for you all. I think this is a very exciting time to be building. And it feels very divisive right now. I think there's a lot of different ways in which like the tools that you use, and if you're a coder or a non-coder, you start to feel like, where should I exist? I think Netlify uniquely is a platform in which we can bring you all together to try and start connecting those dots for you. And so we hope to see more of you. Thank you so much for coming out to this stream. Like such a powerful first stream for us. Like it's so hard to come out and say we're going to do something live and see who shows up and what happens. And so it does mean a lot to see you
I
all in
really
the
thought it was
chat.
going to be 4 people, and and one of them was going to be Philip. So shout out to Philip, by the way. He's done an amazing job through the feed. I've been watching through the stream,
Love that guy.
answering questions, tackling.
Thank you so much,
any
Philip.
questions. Thank you so much, Philip. You didn't have to do that. You went above and beyond and made our jobs
Yeah,
easy.
appreciate you.
Because it's hard to read the chat sometimes as we were talking, right?
Yeah.
So thank you. And the last thing is we're going to send that hat to I think Lee. Lee just like literally.
I feel like
won
Lee
that.
just done. Yeah, there's no way we can get around that.
All right, sounds good. We can be on LinkedIn. All right, so somebody's asking LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah, LinkedIn works. LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm more
Anywhere.
active on Twitter, so I would see it faster. But I'm happy to have LinkedIn as well.
Dom, if you can drop, let me find your LinkedIn and drop it to. Yeah, there we go.
I should have it offhand. You got it.
Awesome. All right,
cool.
Thank you all. See you on the next community drop. Have a good one. Bye.
See y'all.